After 2 months of fairing and 3 weeks of paint prep, we're finally ready to put the final coats of paint on the outside of the boat. We've been waiting for this moment for almost 2 years, but there are a lot of variables that still need to come together for things to go smoothly, and we aren't positive that we have everything that we need. I'm Taryn, this is Logan, and this is Max. Our life rarely goes as planned, and this story is no different. But we are determined to rebuild our beautiful steel boat, even stronger than she was before. And we're bringing you along with us. Well, today is the day. Today we should be putting on the first coat of paint on the top sides and the deck. So currently it's just before noon. Temperature is 10 degrees Celsius and we've got like 83% humidity. So that is too cold and still too high of humidity for us to paint. But it's noon, which means we've only had sun for about 4 hours. So we're hoping that in the next 2 hours things warm up and dry off enough that we can actually get paint on the boat. Today the plan is to put epoxy primer that's been really thinned down on the boat and we're going to spray it on. Tomorrow we're hoping to put on the second coat of epoxy primer, and then after that we're putting on the polyurethane final coats. We need above 10 degrees and we need below 80% humidity in order to put this paint on and to have it actually dry. And it's been raining pretty much non-stop until about halfway through yesterday. So things are wet, things are cold because we're at the end of September. It's September 29th today. And we really need all these things to come together for us to be able to paint, or else we have to put in a bunch more steps to try to warm up the boat and dry out the boat in order for the paint to go on. So it's high stress today. We've also never sprayed on paint before, so whether or not our system that we have set up here is going to work or not is another variable. But we're going to do our best to get this all going and to hopefully finally get some paint on the boat. We put the oil furnace back in so that we could heat the shed properly. This wasn't something we wanted to do, but we didn't have much of an option if we wanted to get paint on. But before paint could go on, all of the dust from sanding needed to be removed with acetone. Everything had to be gone over 2 to 3 times, and the job ended up taking almost 2 hours.
Ready to spray. Everything is ready. The paint is just about done its induction time, and we're going to start thinning it and testing out the gun. We're trying to spray the high build primer that we have, and we talked to the paint rep and he said that we can thin it beyond what its maximum recommendation is. So to be able to spray it with a conventional air sprayer, which is what we have, so that's what we're going to try. And we have no idea what we're going to thin it to. He said do not exceed 50%. So hopefully we don't have to go that far.
And we were doing 10 before.
We were doing 10 before with a different thinner. I think 10's probably not going to be enough.
No.
So we might go double that and we'll see.
So how'd that first round of spray go?
Yeah, it's going really well. Actually, this is way easier than I thought it would be.
Did you end up having to add extra thinner? Or?
I did.
Okay, so how much extra
So
did you put
we
in?
thinned it to 20% and then I put an extra 10% in.
So you're going to start at 30 this time?
Sorry, no, I put an extra 5% in.
Okay, so you're going to start at 25% this time?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And it worked. Like, it is just on the edge of what this gun can do. I have the pressure turned up. I have the air wide open. Yeah, and it's just atomizing it so that it doesn't look all, I don't know, like dimpled, crazy looking. It looks really nice and smooth, I think. It's hard to see. Oh, good.
Nailed it.
You said quick.
You were quick, yeah.
Yeah, that took a lot longer than I thought. Wow. It's now 11:30 at night. We have the furnace going so that we could continue painting. That was a good idea to put that in.
We started at 5, so that was like 6.5 hours of paint-related things. That's
Yep.
not including the cleaning. That's just the painting.
Yeah. So
We
we've
took
been
us
at this
2.5
all day.
hours. Yeah, took us 2.5 hours to acetone before the painting.
Yeah, but it looks good. A few spots I have to touch up tomorrow, or sand. I got a couple of drips, and yeah, and then we can do this all over again. Woo.
Whoa. How's it looking?
That looks good, actually.
Yeah?
It's hardened right up, so this turned out really good up there. It's got a bit of a, I don't know if it's overspray, but it's got a bit of a rough texture to it.
Probably the overspray. That would make sense. All the way along up there?
Yeah, which I'm not worried about, because most of it's going to be covered in non-skid anyways.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, look at that.
It's kind of nice to have a little bit of a texture to it anyway, because it'll grip better even if it's not covered in.
Yeah, so like you can see some of it didn't get fully coated, so that's why we're doing the second coat today.
And one during the daylight instead of at night.
Yeah, you can see all of like the line along the fairing. Whatever.
Maybe it'll be less visible once you've got 4 or 5 coats on.
I think it's pretty much gonna be what it is. So we just have to decide, like, those holes are gonna be too big. We'll have to fill these. Yeah, there's a couple for sure.
Did it need to be faired?
Yeah, just filled.
Well, today isn't going exactly as planned. You might be able to hear the man lift behind me. Logan is starting that up because the heater that we have going was blowing soot into the boat somehow, and now we're on a mission to plug every single hole because it's going to mess up our paint job. So, we had really high hopes that we'd be painting by now, but with the way that things are going, including having to fair some more stuff on the boat, we're not even sure that we're going to get another coat of paint on today. We had to re-acetone most of the boat because there was soot on it. There was ash all over the boat. Now we've got hopefully all of the holes plugged on that end of the boat, and we're hoping that that'll do it, but except for the one that Logan's going to plug right now with the man lift. But by the time we have that figured out and then have gone and eaten and gotten more paint because we need more paint and faired all of the fairing that we put on, we're probably not going to have time to put a coat on today, which sucks because it's so nice and sunny out. It's perfect weather. Look at this. This is the problem when you're dealing with makeshift stuff all the time. You just never know how things are going to work. Like, you can hear the man lift right now, not starting. Oh, there we go. What a gong show.
Because our oil heater runs on diesel, and the diesel's pretty bad quality, and the oil burner's really worn out, it smokes a little bit. So the smoke is basically unburnt fuel, little bits. It's not atomizing correctly, and that's been drifting over and somehow getting through the tarp and onto the boat. and we can't have that if we're going to be painting, so.
Alright, this is the moment of truth. Let's go see if there's soot on the back of the boat. There's definitely some soot there. Yeah, but I don't know if it's from like recent. A little bit of soot on the transom. There's some right here. It was very small.
Just a piece of soot though.
Like 4 or 5 pieces, just literally right here. This is the only place that there was soot. But it could have been, like it could have fallen before we taped all that up too, right? Like it might have just been in the air.
I'm worried about all those little holes there.
Yeah.
And like I watched it, you can see it, it's collected all around that thing.
It's outside.
Like where that, yeah.
But yeah, this is looking, doesn't look like there's anything here. How's it look over there?
I think it's just all old soot from...
So what's our plan right now? What did we decide?
Well, we had a bunch of little pinholes that I thought the paint would seal up, but it didn't, like in the fairing compound. And so we had to refair all the pinholes and the fairing and a few like odds and ends like this here. There was a bit of rust that we had to grind out of here and up there. So we primered it yesterday, and then I put fairing compound on it this afternoon, but it hasn't been warm enough in here to fully set up. 25 degrees Celsius. It should be sandable by hand within 3 hours, or at 3 hours. And it's been about 3 hours and it's still not hard. That's it for today, I guess. Like,
it's 5 o'clock already.
It's 5 o'clock. We're not getting paint on today, so we might as well just give up and start again in the morning.
How does it feel to be finished that?
Feels good to be finished that. It's gonna feel even better when we finish tomorrow. I hope. That wasn't nearly as bad as the first day, but yeah. Last coat of primer, done.
Woot woot.
Do the top coat now.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, we gotta wait 16 hours or something like that.
Mm-hmm. We think we solved the soot problem, but we're not 100%, so we're just trying to make sure that we don't have to acetone everything again, because we can paint pretty soon and we don't want that timeline all messed up, because we have to have between 6 and 8 hours between coats. We want to get 2 coats on today. So it's the top coats that we're putting on today. We're done with the primer. We put 2 coats of primer on, and now we're going to put at least 2 coats of top coat on. Hopefully both of them today. And then we're going to take a break for a few days.
I've just been trying to make sure the heater's going to run today.
Is it running?
Yeah.
Haven't found any soot on the boat yet.
This morning there was nothing. I haven't checked since it's fired up. And the fan's kicked on. The smoke is like doing crazy things, so it's not ideal. And without the heater, there's no possibility of painting. I don't see anything, so
No?
we have to be careful not to bump this, because this guy here, I should have changed this filter out. We don't really have anything to put in its place. I sealed up the top. As soon as the humidity drops, like we're 14 degrees back here and 12 degrees at the bow, so we can paint anytime.
We're using 2-part polyurethane paint as our top coat. It's a 9-to-1 mix, so it was a bit harder to mix correctly than the previous batches, but I got the hang of it pretty quick. After the first day, I mixed the paint and handed the gun to Logan to spray, so we could have a continual stream of paint being sprayed as each batch had to induct for 15 to 20 minutes. It cut down on our painting time from 6 hours to around 2.5 hours. How does it feel to be done that first layer of top coat?
Oh, it feels good. I am absolutely drenched though. It is like 20 something degrees at the front of the boat and like almost like close to 30 where the vent for the heat comes out. Went on really well. It looks really good. We only use like just under 1 can of paint to cover that, so that's about what I figured. I thought we'd use an entire can and maybe like break into the second one because we're not doing as much as we put epoxy on. We're only doing what's gonna be visible.
But we're doing the whole top sides too, which is more.
Yeah, we're doing the whole top sides. So it doesn't go on as thick as the epoxy goes on, but it just dries really fast. The nozzle plugged up once. It's, yeah, it was interesting. But it's all on there and drying, and who knows, maybe we'll even get a second coat on tonight.
So yesterday our plan was to get 2 coats of top coat on and hopefully be done with painting. But it got to about 5:30 last night and the paint was still sticky and we couldn't walk on the decks to get that last coat of paint on if the decks were still sticky. So we called it a night and we're back here this morning ready to put on that last coat of paint. Luckily it's not raining today, and because it was raining yesterday it's not actually as cold today as it might have been otherwise. This has been a very stressful period on this boat because paint is like a whole new realm for both of us. So it'll be very nice to have it over and done with and be able to move on. It looks pretty good, but there are some spots that need more paint on them than were put on yesterday, mostly because Logan couldn't really see at the back of the boat what he was doing because of the lighting situation. So we've worked on remedying that with moving some lights around, and hopefully it works out better today, but at least we know what we're doing today. Look guys, there's a boat behind us and it's painted. How does it feel?
You got like paint specks all over your
Oh,
face
do
from
I?
peeling stuff off. Oh boy. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, we're still not ready to go back in the water, but there's a boat with paint on it.
It almost looks like a boat. Well, it does look like a boat, just the wrong kind, because there's no mast on it, but yeah. Are you happy with it? Are you happy with your paint job?
Yeah, for first time painting, it turned out really well. I mean, there's definitely things that I could have done better, but hopefully I'll never find out. Hopefully there will never be a next time.
You can just hypothesize instead of having to put the theories to the test. Yeah, it looks really good. There's 2 small spots where paint somehow got under the plastic, and so like you can see on the bow there's like 1 white spot on the on the paint. I'm not really sure how that got through there. There was a lot of tape there, And then there's one spot where you blew through the plastic.
At the back.
Yeah, on the starboard side of it.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the
Which
port
doesn't
side of the
matter
back.
at all because we're going to be putting anti-foul, a full fresh coat of anti-foul on just before we go back in the water.
Yeah. But the tape came off really well, like surprisingly well. So we've got a nice crisp line all the way along the water line, which is really nice.
And there's paint on everything.
Yeah.
In a good way. Yes, the next thing we have to do is, because we've taken the scaffolding all down, because we will no longer be going over the side of the boat to get on it. We don't want to damage the paint job that we just spent so long doing. We are going to set up some scaffold at the back of the boat and go over the transom and probably tape some blankets to it and through the cockpit so that we don't wreck anything there. And then we can start putting things back together.
Inside.
Inside the boat.
Yay!
Yeah.
Very exciting. High five, we did things. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra big shout out to our patrons for all the support. Next week we will do a bit of a Q&A video answering some of the most asked questions for you. Are we still happy with our choice to purchase this boat? Before we move on to interior projects. See you next week.